Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the patch notes for the second update to the War Within Alpha. In future videos we'll take a look at these things hands-on, but I always like to make these videos where we just kind of go through the actual notes themselves. So first off, the upcoming Alpha build, which by the way, there's been a new wave of invites as well, so check your BNet launcher. Best way to check if you get Alpha, just close, reopen BNet, and see if it has been added to your list of like WoWs that you can log into. Is the Alpha. I think it's still a pretty small set of people that are in the Alpha, but it is expanding, I think, with every build. So every Thursday probably will be the day they do these build deploys, and those will be the days to check if you have been added as well. So first off, we have the Ringing Deeps, which is a new zone. It's like a mining-themed underground zone. I think it's going to be the most kind of claustrophobic and underground of the zones, and the other underground zones feel more like spacious, but we'll see how that actually plays out. And all the delves, I guess, within that zone will also be testable. There's also the two dungeons of the Ringing Deeps, the Stone Vault and Dark Flame Cleft coming in. I'll probably have videos of testing these up over the next couple of days as well. And the new Earthen Allied race, which is Alliance or Horde compatible, something that I guess is not a distinction that matters that much anymore, is also playable on Alpha right now too, so that's pretty cool. We also have new character level available, level 73 character templates. With each phase, we encourage players to make a new template character and avoid using their previous character as they could potentially be in a broken state. After making a new template character, make sure to talk to the quest horn to get ready for any available content. So again, that's something the Ringing Deep zone, I guess, is designed for levels 73 to 75. You can unlock all your hero talents on Alpha anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The following hero talents are available for playtesting. Demon Hunter, Fellscarred. Fellscarred Demon Hunters embrace the monster within. Blasts of devastating Fellfire are unleashed while in demon form, and activating meta greatly empowers additional Fell-themed abilities. The Fellscarred endure a pain that bubbles just beneath the surface, granting increased maximum fury and a portion of their demon form bonuses at all times. Those who stand in their way will inevitably introduce to that pain by intense fiery abilities and blades that burn with Fell energy. Hopefully this is a good hero talent tree, because Aldrachi has been pretty disappointing for most Demon Hunters that I've spoken to so far, so hopefully Fellscarred is a little bit better. We'll see, though. I'm sure that will also be a video coming out on this channel, potentially in the next 24 hours, is a look at the Fellscarred hero talent tree. Master of Harmony is also, it was available in the first build, but several talents were still being worked on. It's now fully playtestable. All Fear, Sleep, Stun, and Interrupt effects are updated with a new visual. All movement speed slowing effects greater than 50% will now display a universal slow visual on the target. Our main priority with this visual update is to help increase the clarity and consistency of messaging for common status effects. Slow, the status effect, not the spell, for example, has taken quite a few different visual forms over the years. Yeah, I always remember like the purple dust cloud around people's feet. As you can imagine, this particular visual was difficult to notice from a distance, wasn't easily recognizable, so we did a pass on slow and the other status effects listed to help address those clarity/messaging issues, making them easier to quickly identify in combat. Hopefully this is like especially Stun, right? Stun has an iconic swirl over your head. Hopefully they've just made that, they've taken that same look, but made it more noticeable, maybe a little bit higher def, higher resolution, stand out more against the background, but I hope they haven't changed what Stun looks like. I hope it's still that swirl. All right, we also have now some class tuning notes and some hero talent tree notes, so let's start off with Mage, because that's the first one that they've listed. Sun Fury, they've nerfed the Arcane Phoenix spells to no longer benefit from casters' secondary stats, spell bonuses, or talents. They've nerfed Arcane Surge from the Arcane Phoenix, and all AoE spells from the Arcane Phoenix. There's an activation overlay added for Hyperthermia and Arcane Soul, which come out at the end of your Arcane Surge or Combustion. And they have changed Memory of Alar, Arcane Soul buff redesigned. Arcane Barrage costs no mana, grants clear casting, and generates 4 arcane charges. Interesting. I think this was the Orb one before, but I could be mistaken. But yeah, okay, so a little bit of nerfs to Sun Fury and redesign as well. I wouldn't be too worried about, you know, even if you're a Mage enjoyer and you're a Sun Fury enjoyer, I wouldn't be like, oh man, they just killed my hero talent. Like, right now on Alpha, things are wildly unbalanced, so whenever they're coming in with nerfs or buffs to anything, I wouldn't be too worried just yet about any spec becoming viable, unviable, broken, deleted from the game, any of that kind of stuff just yet. That is way too early to really, even if you're a Sun Fury Mage, like I wouldn't even think of this as bad news. I think this is just usual alpha stuff where it's just like, oh, accidentally we launched a hero talent tree that's doing 3 times the damage of one of the others. All right, hang on, let's fix that. Okay, so here's some Fire changes. Fire's got a bunch of changes coming to its core talent tree. So Fuel the Fire is now baseline. We've got a bunch of new talents here. Lit Fuse says consuming a hot streak has a small chance to grant Lit Fuse. Lit Fuse makes your next Phoenix Flames apply Living Bomb to up to 3 targets, which now explodes after 2 seconds, dealing damage to the target and up to 5 nearby enemies, and up to 5 enemies hit by this explosion gain Living Bomb, but then that effect can't spread further. Explosive Ingenuity says consuming Hot Streak has a higher chance of granting you Lit Fuse, and Living Bomb's damage has been increased by 50% as well. There's actually quite a lot of Living Bomb stuff in these notes as well. It's kind of they're I guess, messing with the playstyle a bit here, which potentially is good. Down in Flames is a new choice node with improved Scorch, and this one says Scorch deals 300% damage to targets below 30% health. Quick Flame says Flame Strike's damage is increased by 25%, choice node with Flame Patch. Focus Fury says Living Bomb deals more damage the fewer targets it hits, up to 300% at one target, which potentially is quite good as well, because remember, you can be applying it if you take Lit Fuse with just your Phoenix Flames as well, so not even necessarily pressing it for a global. Mark of the Fire Lord says Flame Strike and Living Bomb apply Ignite at 100% increased effectiveness. Wow. Spontaneous Combustion says casting Combustion refreshes up to 3 charges of Fire Blast and up to 3 charges of Phoenix Flames. Choice node with improved Combustion, though, but potentially a way to, spend all your stuff and then hit Combustion and get it all back. You don't have to... One skill point of Fire has often been banking Fire Blast and Phoenix Flames charges as you're about to enter a Combustion, making sure that you're going to have the ability to do that Fire Mage piano thing. This seems like a talent that's basically saying, all right, don't worry about that anymore. You don't have to do that. Charring Embers says Phoenix Flames applies Charring Embers to all enemies it damages, increasing their damage taken from you by 5% for 12 seconds. I believe this is just the Aberrus set bonus. I could be wrong, though. Fire's Ire says while you're not under the effect of Combustion, your crit chance is increased by 2.5%. When you're under the effects of Combustion, your crit damage is increased by 2.5%, and you could put 2 points in here for up to a 5% increase on both of these. 5% increased critical damage is a 2.5% overall damage increase, so I'm not sure how valuable this talent's going to end up being, but potentially quite good depending on what your other options are for talent points. I don't know how much marginal damage you're getting for each talent point you put somewhere else in your tree, but this may also be important for what it connects to, which we can't see in these notes. New talent, Explosivo. Casting Combustion grants Lit Fuse. Well under the effects of Combustion, consuming Hot Streak has a substantially increased chance to grant you Lit Fuse. Interesting that it's not guaranteed, just substantially increased. Blast Zone says Lit Fuse can now apply Living Bomb to up to 5 targets, and Living Bombs can now spread to 8 enemies. So it's still a little, capped, but going up to... Playing this is like, okay, I want the Lit Fuse, Living Bomb, playstyle in my M+ AoE run, right? Ashen Feather is a choice node with Majesty of the Phoenix, which is also a new talent. Ashen Feather says if Phoenix Flames hits only one target, it deals 50% increased damage and applies Ignite at 100% effectiveness. The other option is an AoE option that says when a Phoenix Flame damages 3 or more targets, your next 2 Flame Strikes have their cast time reduced by 1.5 seconds, and their damage is increased by 20%. That's quite a lot of power on that. Fervent Flickering has been redesigned, now reducing the cooldown of Fire Blast by 2 seconds. Controlled Destruction has been redesigned, damaging a target with Pyroblast increases the damage it receives from Ignite, stacks up to 25 times, although on Alpha right now it's stacking past 25, oopsie. But okay, that means that a target can be taking 50% increased damage from Ignite once you pyroed them 25 times, which, that'll happen in the first minute, right? You cast a lot of Pyroblasts on this spec. That's potentially quite a lot of power. Improved Scorch has been redesigned. Casting Scorch on targets below 30% health increases the damage the target takes from you by 5% for 12 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. So you're going to have this option against Down in Flames. Either Scorch can deal 300% increased damage to those targets, or you can deal 10% increased damage to those targets. And it's just a question of which of those is more number. Flame Accelerant has been redesigned. Every 12 seconds, your next Fireball, Flame Strike, or Pyroblast has a 40% reduced cast time. Unleashed Inferno has been redesigned. While Combustion is active, your Fireball, Pyroblast, Fire Blast, Scorch, and Phoenix Flames deal 50% increased damage, and reduce the cooldown of combustion by 1.25 seconds. While combustion is active, Flame Strike deals increased damage and reduces the cooldown of combustion by 0.25 seconds for each crit, up to 1.25 seconds. Remember, you're critting everything during your combustion, and also if you're hitting 5 targets, you're getting the max value out of this of the 1.25 seconds. So, yeah, both of these are combustion buffers and also combustion uptime increasers. Convection's been redesigned. When Living Bomb expires, if it did not spread to another target, it refreshes its duration. They can only benefit from this effect once. So this is potentially very powerful in combination with, Lit Fuse, Explosive Ingenuity, and also with the Focused Fury, right? Like single target, free Living Bombs. They explode twice on those targets. Potentially very powerful, especially if you can game it so that if there's like an ad phase on a boss, and you have it first explode on the boss, and then the ads spawn, and it explodes the second time, and it spreads to the ads. You are living the dream if that happens. Pyromaniac has been redesigned. Casting Pyroblast or Flame Strike while Hot Streak is active has an 8% chance to repeat the spell cast at 100% effectiveness, but the copied spell cannot contribute to Hot Streak. This effect counts as consuming Hot Streak. Huh. Okay. So you cast a Pyro while Hot Streak is active, which of course consumes the Hot Streak, and then 8% of the time you get 2 Pyros out of that, which this counts as consuming Hot Streak, which I think just means that there are some effects that say, when your Hot Streak consumers do more stuff, basically. So I think this is upside here, because I don't think you're going to have an extra Hot Streak to consume negatively. And then you could still get 1 heating up out of your initial Pyroblast or Flame Strike, but you're not going to be able to, chain this into an entirely new Hot Streak. But still, pretty cool thing when it procs 8%. I mean, it's effectively 8% more damage as well when you consume Hot Streaks, right, with these Pyros and Flame Strikes. I know, could be good. Phoenix Reborn has also been redesigned. When your direct damage spells hit an enemy affected by Charring Embers 20 times, the damage of your next 2 Phoenix Flames is increased by 200%, and they refund a charge on use. I think, once again, this is an Aberrus set bonus again. I could be misremembering it, but yeah, I think they've just given the 2-piece and the 4-piece from Aberrus as talents here. Call of the Sun King has been moved. Searing Touch has been removed. Searing Touch's critical strike threshold functionality is now baseline to Scorch. Wow. Improved Scorch's movement speed increase is now baseline to Scorch. Wow. Incendiary Eruptions, Fire Mine, and Tempered Flames have been removed. Firestarter, Intensifying Flame, and Flame... Okay, so they've just moved a bunch of stuff. Flame On is also now 1 point. No longer gives you cooldown reduction on Fire Blast, but remember that there was flat cooldown reduction of Fire Blast coming in on Fervent Flickering now. Critical Mass and Wildfire are now 1 point. Conflagration's been removed. Fevered Incantation's now 2 points. SKB has been nerfed here as well. It's now going to grant Sun King's Fury after consuming 10 Hot Streaks, and Hyperthermia now has an activation overlay. Huge rework coming into Fire Mage here. I'm not a Fire Mage scientist. I'm, in fact, very, very bad at Fire Mage. Extremely, just embarrassingly bad. When I play Fire Mage, you're going to see hard-casted fireballs during combustion. You're going to see all kinds of extremely ugly things if you're a Mage player and you ever watch me play that spec. So, but yeah, this reads cool to me. This seems like a cool set of changes to Fire Mage. Let me know in the comments below if you are a Fire Mage what you think of these. Let's move on to Monk. Please note, not all the below changes will become available in Public Alpha 2, but we want to give players a full picture for our planned update for Windwalker, so we've opted to include all of our changes. Up first, we have some hero talent changes to Conduit of the Celestials, which is a nerf to Heart of the Jade Serpent to 75% cooldown reduction, or cooldown recovery rate on affected spells from 100, but we have Fists of Fury now channeling up 50% faster during Heart of the Jade Serpent, so a buff, I guess, for just on the Windwalker side. Windwalking is now a 1 point talent. Windwalking is in the class tree, and it's the only remaining aura thing. You remember those monk auras that were like increase healing received, increase avoidance for nearby things? Those are all gone from the monk class tree. Windwalking is still there, and they've turned it into 1 point instead of 2. That's great. The bottom of the monk class tree already had some free points that you could kind of spend wherever you want, but there was so much cool stuff down there that putting 2 of those points into Windwalking seemed like a pretty bad deal. Now that it's just 1 point, I actually think that's potentially something you could justify. Some connections have been moved within the final gate. and Hasty Provocation has been moved to a choice node with Quick Footed. Windwalker. Expel Harm no longer triggers combo strikes, and Chi Wave no longer triggers combo strikes. I believe these are both passives now. At least Chi Wave is now passive. I don't remember what they did to Expel Harm, but it makes sense that if it's a passive proc thing, that doesn't trigger combo strikes. Combat Wisdom now balances your Chi to 2 while out of combat. With the removal of Expel Harm from the list of combo strike triggers, we'd like to naturally smooth out Windwalker's opener by having them start each combat with some additional Chi. This also reduces the ramp-up steps for them to get going rotationally. This is great, because right now, you go into combat as a Windwalker, and you're at 0 Chi. You want to press Fist of Fury. You want to press Rising Sun Kick. That's 5 Chi, which means you're going to need to find 3 Tiger Palms in there. And of course, you can't just press Tiger Palm without, feeling bad as a Windwalker, because you're not triggering combo strikes, you're not getting hit combo. If you're playing those things, again, some of these talents, some of these things you're going to do are different, right? But you may have to do, you can do like Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, Fist of Fury, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Whirling Dragon Punch. Like you can do an opener like that, but that's a lot of Tiger Palms. With the starting Chi at 2 out of combat, now you can do like Tiger Palm, Fist of Fury, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, right? You could fit a Blackout Kick in there anywhere you wanted. Any of those spots you could do one, or you could do 2, right? You could do 2 and just add in 1 extra Tiger Palm, but there's also a bunch of talents that are going to give you an extra Chi here or there, or make your Blackout Kick, I think, refund a Chi or something like that. I don't know. So, yeah, you'll be able to just get going much faster. This seems great. I love this idea here. Storm Earth and Fire now triggers combo strikes. Moving forward, we'd like combo strikes to not trigger from spells that aren't intuitive to mix into your rotation or aren't directly under control, such as Flying Serpent Kick and Chi Wave or Expel Harm procs. We're also adding Storm Earth and Fire to the list of spells that can trigger it. We want the initiation of cooldowns to feel as smooth as possible, and we'd like to allow for ordered elements to feel easier to play around, and also back-to-back Rising Sun Kicks are fun. So now you can go, Rising Sun Kicks, Storm Earth and Fire, Rising Sun Kick, and that's allowed now. That's sweet. That's cool. And then, just making it so that these proc abilities don't trigger combo strikes. So basically the rule for Windwalker is just going to be, as long as you're pressing a different keybind than the previous one you pressed, you're going to be fine on combo strikes. And you're not going to have these weird things where you sometimes are supposed to press the same button twice because you proc something that is going to keep your combo strikes going. Ordered Elements has been buffed to 7 seconds from 5. Jadefire Harmony has been nerfed to 8% from 12. Crane Vortex is now a 1-point talent and also gives Radius a spinning crane kick. Rising Star is 1 point. Vivify is being increased in healing for Windwalker. With the removal of Expel Harm as an active button for Windwalker, we'd like Vivify to better fill the on-demand healing niche for them. Sky Touch no longer increases the range of Tiger Palm, now increases crit chance by 15%, was 50%, and its lockout duration is 30 seconds, was 60. So I believe this is a nerf to the effectiveness of Sky Touch. But that's maybe good, because maybe now you don't have to talent it, and that thing was annoying to play with. I never really liked playing with Sky Touch, so... although the lockout duration of 30 seconds, maybe this will still be good. It is just less value, and also the range increase being gone. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not a Windwalker scientist. Danta Chi-Ji may now stack up to 2 times. Ooh, that's very nice, because now you're not going to accidentally, munch your Chi-Ji proc as well by accident, which, now you actually get the option sometimes. Sometimes you... I'm speaking like this is something you're supposed to do as a Windwalker, and I don't know that for sure, because when I play Windwalker, it's much more of an art than a science, and it's an art in the same way that, a 5-year-old with macaroni and glue can make art, right? Not, actually good art. But when I'm playing Windwalker, I often feel like, oh, I'm trying to get to this Whirling Dragon Punch. I need to press, these 3 globals in time so that my Whirling Dragon Punch will be lit up and I can actually press it. Otherwise, I'm going to get kind of owned, and I'm going to delay my Whirling Dragon Punch by 10 seconds. And if a Danta Chi-Ji procs while I'm trying to set that up, then I'm in this hard place where it's okay, well, now if I press my Chi-Ji, I'm not going to get my Whirling Dragon Punch, but if I go for my Whirling Dragon Punch, I might eat my Chi-Ji proc, right? I might get a new Chi-Ji proc and be sad. Now stacking up to 2 times removes that entirely, and also potentially lets you store up an extra one going into a big AoE pull or something like that. So this is going to be, I think, nice quality of life here. Storm Earth and Fire clones now copy your Tiger's Lust casts, so... With the removal of Serenity in mind, we're looking to open up counterplay options for Windwalker when their Storm Earth and Fire clones are CC'd in PvP. So now if you press Tiger's Lust, your clones will lust themselves, I guess. I wonder what happens if you Tiger's Lust somebody else. I guess they'll probably still just Tiger's Lust themselves. Or maybe they'll choose CC'd targets, I don't know. Flying Serpent Kick is now a 30-second cooldown, was 20. Now, they didn't mention Flying Serpent Kick no longer triggering combo strikes, but it does make sense, right? That was something you would do in opener sometimes, or like not in opener, but to preserve your hit combo from one pack to another in M+, I would often press a Flying Serpent Kick because it contributed to combo strikes and you could keep your hit combo going. But they didn't mention that changing here, but they did mention it in the notes, so we'll see if that actually is happening as well. And Shadow Bloxing Treads extra blackout kicks are now 80% effective, was 100. We're adding a tuning knob to them so we can more easily tune blackout kicks damage between single target and AoE scenarios. Great, love it. Retribution. High Lord Judgment has been renamed to High Lord's Wrath. Mastery Hand of Light has been renamed to Mastery High Lord's Judgment. Now also causes Judgment to have a chance to blast the target with light, dealing holy damage. They buffed Mastery a lot in the first build as well of the alpha, so it's like 50% more per value, or per mastery point than it used to be. High Lord's Wrath has been redesigned. Mastery High Lord Judgment is 50 or 100% more effective on Judgment and Hammer of Wrath. Judgment applies an additional stack of Greater Judgment if it is known. Education has been redesigned. Crit strike damage of your abilities increased by 5%, and Hammer of Wrath also has a chance to cast High Lord Judgment. Blades of Light has been redesigned. Crusader Strike, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, and damaging single target Holy Power abilities now deal Holy Strike damage, and your abilities that deal Holy Strike damage deal 5% increased damage. Divine Arbiter now has an additional effect. High Lord Judgment and Holy Strike damage abilities grant you a stack of Divine Arbiter. Searing Light now has an additional effect, which has High Lord Judgment and Radiant damage abilities have a chance to call down an explosion of Holy Fire. So Radiant is Holy plus Fire, and I think Holy Strike, oops, I didn't mean to press that button. I think Holy Strike is physical and holy, I think. So maybe there's like a Radiant build and a Holy Strike build going in here. Blessed Hammer from Adjudication now spawns from the target of your Hammer of Wrath. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice if you're ever pressing it while you're like running at a target or 10 yards away from them. You're gonna get a lot more hits now. Execution Sentence now causes the enemy to suffer 20% of damage dealt during its time after it expires, was 30%, so a nerf there, and it no longer counts as a damage over time effect. High Lord Judgment damage damage is increased by 50%. High Lord's Wrath is now a 1 rank talent, and High Lord's Wrath says Mastery Judgment is 50% more effective on Judgment or Hammer of Wrath, and it applies an additional stack of Greater Judgment if it is known. This is just this, right? So High Lord's Wrath has been redesigned, and there's 5100 here, and it's now a 1 rank talent that does the 1 rank version of this. Okay. I think this is just a patch notes oopsie, because I feel like this is the same notes, and probably this is the more updated version here, it being a 1 rank rather than the 2nd rank suggested here. We'll see though. Vanguard of Justice is now a 2 rank talent, was 1, and has been redesigned to make enemies hit by Templar's Verdict take increased damage from your next Divine Storm. Judge, Jury, and Executioner also has a chance to has been redesigned to have Divine Storm have a chance to cause your next Templar's Verdict to hit 3 additional targets, or an additional 3 targets, yeah, so 4 total, I guess, yeah. Interesting, so this is a playstyle they're suggesting here that's probably like for cleave type situations where you're kind of tab targeting and Templar's Verdicting multiple targets, potentially. Or you're just doing maybe Templar's Verdict, or maybe you're just spamming Divine Storms until you proc Judge, Jury, Executioner, and then you're pressing a Templar's Verdict that's hitting 4 targets, and then they're all taking 50% increased damage for your next Divine Storm. Or maybe you've got a prio target, so you're alternating between Templar's Verdict and Divine Storms, and then you're sometimes procking Judge, Jury, Executioner to do even more AoE. That's kind of a cool playstyle suggested by these talents. Often these kind of playstyles don't actually end up being the ones that are worth the talent points compared to the other stuff in the tree, but it is cool at least. That sounds fun. Warlock. Warlock has had quite a lot of changes coming in here. So up first we have a new talent, Pact of Gluttony. Health stones you conjure for yourself are now demonic health stones and can be used multiple times in combat, but they can't be traded. So you could health stone, I guess it's probably on a 5-minute cooldown, but maybe it's a 1-minute cooldown, I think. I actually don't, I have no idea. We'll have to check on Alpha what that is. Swift Artifice says reduces the cast time of Soulstone and create Healthstone by 50%, which that's actually nice, especially if this is, for instance, a 1-minute cooldown on Pact of Gluttony Healthstones. You will be casting Create Healthstone in combat then, potentially. Demonic Tactics increases melee and spell crit by 2% for you and your demon. Fell Pact is now 1 rank and has been redesigned to give you Fell Domination cooldown reduction. Fiendish Stride, also 1 rank, reducing the damage dealt by Burning Rush by 10%, but increasing your movement speed by an additional 20%. Okay. Love that. Grimoire Synergy removed. Inquisitor's Gaze removed. Soulkeeper removed. Profane Bargain removed. Demonic Circle has been moved to row 3. Soul Leech is no longer baseline and has been added to the Warlock tree. Soul Conduit has been moved to row 10 and is now 1 rank. Felt Synergy and Soul Link have been moved to row 9, and Abyss Walker has been moved to row 4. So much of these are like random little damagey proc things, but there is also some defensive nerf here with Soul Leech now being something you're going to have to take as a point, for instance. So we'll see if that ends up making Warlocks a little bit less passively durable relative to every other class, which right now it's a bit of an outlier as well in Dragonflight Seasons 3 and 4 because they're stacking versatility. At least in Dragonflight Season 3, they're stacking versatility, so that makes them seem especially durable, which is not something usually Warlocks would do, but it's kind of a product of their set bonus and stuff. But yeah, okay. Let's move on to Affliction. Good lord, there's a lot of Affliction changes. Malefic Rapture is now baseline and has been removed from the Affliction tree. That's, Malefic Rapture is I think it's probably the least popular ability among people of a spec. Like, of everybody who's playing the game that has a main spec, I think Malefic Rapture is the least liked ability within their own spec, right? Like, of AF mains, I think Malefic Rapture has the lowest approval rating compared to, like, any spell known by any spec of its mains. It's something that so many of them that I know seem to really hate. Now, this might be something... This is maybe a case where I have an echo chamber where I'm listening to, like, high-end AFLOC players, right? People in world top few hundred guilds, people that are really engaged with the game, and they hate Malefic Rapture, and maybe a bunch of people that are more casually playing the game like that playstyle, but at least for me, it's been... Like, hopefully that is true, because otherwise they're just doubling down on an ability that nobody I know likes. UA has been moved to row 1, Writhe and Agony has been moved to row 2, Absolute Corruption and Siphon Life have been moved to row 3. New talent, Cunning Cruelty. Malefic Rapture has a chance to trigger a Shadow Bolt volley, dealing damage to 5 enemies within 10 yards of your current target. Summoner's Embrace increases the damage dealt by your spells and your demon by 3%. Death's Embrace says increases Drain Life healing by 30% when your health is at or below 35% health. Damage dealt by your Agony, Corruption, UA, and Malefic Rapture is increased by 5% when your target is at or below 20% health. So yeah, Affliction has always had this identity more than the other Warlock specs of being Drain Life oriented. There's been builds where you Drain Life for damage, and Drain Life has healed more for Affliction than for other specs. This strikes me as a pretty weak defensive and offensive talent because... You know, when you're at 35% or below health, increasing your healing by 30% on Drain Life, I mean, it's nice, it's something, but usually when you're at or below 35% health, you're trying to resolve that immediately with, like, a health zone, and then top yourself maybe with Drain if more damage is coming in. And then this execute component is nice, but it's only a 5% execute on only some of your abilities, and only when your target is at or below 20% health, which is a pretty low threshold compared to what a lot of specs these days are getting execute thresholds at 30 or 35% instead. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where this is on the tree. If this is nice and easy to get on the tree, if it's an important pathing node, then this is maybe fine, but it strikes me as a pretty unexciting talent. Relinquished, Agony has 1.25 times the normal chance to generate a Soul Shard. That's really nice. Always nice to get increased Soul Shard economy, especially at the start of an expansion when everything is so sluggish. Improved Shadow Bolt says the cast time of Shadow Bolt is reduced by 15%, and Shadow Bolt deals 20% increased damage. Volatile Agony says refreshing Agony with less than 10 seconds remaining deals shadow damage to your target, to its target, and enemies within 10 yards. This is cool. This is a nice little play style of, you know, if you're on like a 5-target pull and you tab target all your Agonies between them as they're about to expire, you get potentially a nice damage amp, a nice little damage window when that's happening. It could be fun. I wonder if this will work with like Vile Taints as well. Summoner's Embrace says increase the damage dealt or life drained by your shadow spells and your demon by 3%. Malediction says the periodic crit chance of Agony, Corruption, and UA is increased by 10%. And Contagion says the critical strike damage dealt by them is increased by 20%. Call the Weak says Malefic Rapture deals 5% increased damage for each enemy it hits. Okay, so it looks like they're making Malefic Rapture the combination of this and the Shadow Bolt volley thing. Seems like they want you to be pressing Malefic Raptures instead of like Sow the Seed, Seed of Corruptions in AoE. Empowered UA says reduces the cast time of UA by up to 20% for 2 points, and damage dealt has a 10% chance to generate a Soul Shard. That seems quite good. Again, that seems like more Soul Shard generation, especially on single target. That'll be nice. Oblivion, unleash wicked magic upon your target's soul, dealing shadow damage over 3 seconds. Deals 10% increased damage up to 30% per damage over time effect you have active on the target. Costs 2 soul shards, 45-second cooldown. I wonder if this will get increased when you summon your Dark Glare, because it is a dot, right? But this seems like something where it's going to do triple damage if you can do that whenever you cast it. So potentially a very important thing to sequence your cooldowns correctly with. Siphon Life has been redesigned. Corruption deals 20% increased damage and heals you for 5% of the damage dealt. Okay, so Siphon Life, we no longer have to press Siphon Life, I guess. It's now this passive you're going to talent, I guess. Kindled Malice has been redesigned. Malefic Raptor damage increased by up to 8% and corruption damage increased by 20%. Okay, so again, passive damage increases that you're going to take. Malevolent Visionary has been redesigned, increases the damage of your Dark Glare by 70%. When Dark Glare extends damage over time effect, it also sears the target for shadow damage. So, again, even more front-loading damage into the Dark Glare. The combo of this with potentially Oblivion is you're going to have potentially a very high bursty, 10 seconds after your opener when you've actually set everything up and you hit your Dark Glare button, things are going to get zapped for a little bit. Shadow Embrace has been redesigned, causing Shadow Bolt to drain soul to apply Shadow Embrace, increasing your damage to the target by 4% for 16 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. Wait. Okay. The 4% being here and the 2% being here, and then the 2 and the 4 being here. I was thinking, is this, do you get more per point and then stacking less for only one node? But that doesn't make any sense because... okay, so this is probably whether it's Shadow Bolt to drain soul. Yeah, okay, so if it's drain soul, it's going to give you 2% per tick, stacking up to 4 times, and if it's Shadow Bolt, it's going to give you 4% per Shadow Bolt, stacking up to 2 times. So either way, you're getting 8% increased damage dealt. This isn't like a per point thing. This is based on whether you have Shadow Bolt or drain soul. Makes sense. And it stacks for up to 16 seconds now, so that's going to be a lot easier to... Actually, I don't know how long Shadow Embrace used to last. I do know that I would drop Shadow Embrace sometimes when I was playing AF this expansion, because I'm not very good. Okay, they've removed a bunch of stuff, including Sow the Seeds. Yeah, so I was right. They are absolutely killing. So I guess the question... There's going to be a flowchart of, what should I cast if you're an Affliction Warlock? And then it's going to be like, well, how many targets are there? And then either way, it's going to point to Malefic Rapture. All right, well, okay. Pandemic Invocation, Soul Swap, Death Blossom, Dread Touch, Soul Flame, Agonizing Corruption, Seized Vitality, Soul Eater's Gluttony, Grand Warlock's Design, and Grim Reach. These are all the talents that have been removed, and they've moved a bunch of other stuff that I will not name all the names of. Wow. Okay, so big rework to Affliction. I play all 4 of the specs that have been reworked by a lot in today's build, and this is the one that I'm least jazzed about. But I do like some of it. I like the idea of Oblivion. This seems like a cool effect. It seems like a cool kind of new twist on a dot that is kind of not really a dot, that is really, really bursty and really encourages you to get all your stuff, all your eggs, all your ducks in a row, all your eggs in a basket. I don't think that's an appropriate metaphor for this, but whatever, we're sticking with it. But other than that, I hate the doubling down on Malefic Rapture for me personally as well. I've always liked Affliction Warlock. My Warlock, I played Affliction this expansion, but man, I don't know. I'm not thrilled about this. My favorite way to play Affliction has always been whenever you can play Sow the Seeds and just be spamming Seed of Corruption and watching all those explosions. Maybe Malefic Rapture proccing Shadow Bolt volleys will give some of that vibe. If maybe with Call the Weak as well, maybe. Prot Warrior is also getting a couple of small changes. D-Stance no longer reduces damage dealt for Prot Warriors, so it'll still reduce your damage if you go into D-Stance as a non-Prot Warrior. And there's also a new talent replacing improved Heroic Throw, Fight Through the Flames. D-Stance additionally reduces magic damage you take by 5%. Huge. Prot Warriors will now be griefing even less of their damage by staying in D-Stance, which that's been a change made over the course of Dragonflight. They have reduced the punishment for being in D-Stance for Prot Warriors multiple times. And now they're taking it down to very little, right? The only thing that it's going to cost you is that you're not in Battle Stance, which is going to give you, I think Battle Stance gives you like 3% crit or something like that. So some very small little damage benefit there. But yeah, you could basically do a whole dungeon in D-Stance. I mean, you already could do that. It was already the right way to play for a lot of players. A lot of stubborn people wouldn't do that, and then they would die, and that was always a big disaster if that ever happened. But yeah, D-Stance, it looks like they want you to be in D-Stance if you're a Prot Warrior, and 5% magic DR, that's a lot. Like, we talk about Prot Warrior as being squishy to magic damage, and that it is. But the difference between a tank that is squishy to magic damage and a tank that is very durable to magic damage is only a few effects like this. Like a few effects like this, maybe even just this one will take Prot Warrior from being squishy to magic damage to being fine against magic damage, right? And yeah, I think that's great because Prot Warrior also has the best, like when you press spell block, you are hard chilling against magic damage for 30 of every 90 seconds, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I think this is great. I think they're taking Prot Warrior in a really clever direction here. I love this. Okay. That is the War Within Alpha development notes. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I will have some more, maybe Season 4 videos, maybe some Alpha videos coming out over the next couple of days. So remember to hit that wacky sub button if you haven't already, if you're interested in those sorts of videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.